Need a Valentine's Day gift? Well, flowers die, chocolate melts. As for jewelry, the good stuff is too pricey and the cheap stuff doesn't last. A movie poster from justmovieposters.com is forever, or pretty darn close. Most items found at justmovieposters.com are between $7 to $15. Shipping extra. Go to justmovieposters.com to find a movie poster for the one you love today.
I think that was all smooth. That's going to be interesting to see in post production. What's up, everybody? Lee and Tammy Sanders back with you all for a new edition of Wrestling with the Topics. I'm Lee, and as always, she is the beautiful and the lovely and a probably grumpy ass Tammy at me. More on that later.
Hey guys, what is up? Happy 2026, which I know we've done a show since then, but never bears without saying twice, as New Year is a new year, right? New year, new you.
Exactly. Hopefully, you guys been doing pretty good since last we had checked in with you all. I know that in the last 12, almost going on 14 days, 2 weeks now, uh, Midwest, East Coast has been dealing with a lot of snow. And I can tell you over here in the DC metropolitan region, from what we've been able to see, the recovery has been really bad in a lot of areas. It's so funny, hun, because in one of my sociology classes, and particularly it was my sociology class that deals with African Americans, poverty, especially among the black youth and everything. One of my classmates, I'm assuming he lives in the district, and he was talking about how he was watching the news and the coverage of certain jurisdictions that received prompt service as far as getting their roads treated and everything. And then he talked about Ward 8 in Washington, D.C. And he actually knows people that live in Ward 8, family and friends. And just as we speak, Ward 8 is still, please, we need help already. And to those of you that's still impacted by this, yeah, we're definitely thinking about you, and hopefully that relief is coming. The ward councilman from DC, White, I can't think of his first name,
Mm-hmm.
but
Trevon White,
something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that.
I keep wanting to say Trayvon Martin, and it's like, no, that's not it, dude. It's like that's a whole different other topic. But apparently, he reached out to Mayor Muriel Bowser for help, and she has not been responsive to him, at least at the time of that report and everything. Hell, as some of you guys have saw from social media earlier in the week, I didn't care. I went out there on Monday thanks to Tams. She went out, bless her heart. She got this really cool ice pick tool. And originally, I wasn't down for that. What I wanted initially was like a Thor freaking long ass back kind of. But the more and more I thought about it, it was like, well, let's be honest. Now, in retrospect, now that I was actually doing the work, it was like if I actually had what I originally wanted, I wouldn't have been able to clear out the car. And I probably would have been laying flat on my back outside somewhere if I had the original tool that I wanted. So, but no, Monday I just went out there. I did the damn thing. I cleared up all the ice that was around my car because I wanted to go to campus. I have a new semester of classes that was supposed to begin last week, but because of the snow, we got impacted and classes were shut down for just the entire week. Like the campus, everything, it was just closed for the entire week because that's how bad the snow was over here at our end. And as we went into this past weekend, they were like, hey, we're gearing up to reopen. It looks like on Monday, water's restored, blah, this, everything's clear, da 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 da. So make plans, come to class first thing Monday. I'm like, okay, great. I didn't officially start till Tuesday though. So I went out there Monday. I was supposed to originally, and when I told Tams about this, she was, upset. But originally, I was supposed to go out there, work about 15 minutes, hop in the car, rest, heat up, maybe rest about a half hour, right? Come back out, work about 15, 20 minutes, rinse, repeat. Next thing I know, Hour plus had passed. It was what it was. An hour had passed, and I was like, okay. And I was paying for the rest of the week. Talk about sore like a mother. It was so bad. I had to get rubbed down and all that other good stuff. So I guess we should, as far as classes goes, classes been going pretty good. I was telling the family about it, and classes have been going pretty good despite the mix up and all that with the snow, the mishaps. But it's been interesting seeing how everybody's just continuing to be impacted by the snow, hun.
Yeah, I mean, as you talk about DC, there are people who literally had to cancel dental appointments or appointments in general because they still couldn't get out of their complex. And that was as of last week.
Mm.
You're looking at another, what was it, 7, 8 days from when it actually happened. That's a long time to wait. So I heard a lot about DC, and especially because schools were open.
Yeah. Yes.
Schools were open and they were expecting for kids to come in, but how can you really get there, like that? I mean, obviously parents can't take the kids, and depending on how icy it is, are the buses even able to get to the kids? So very mishandled. Very
Yeah,
mishandled.
yeah. It really makes you wonder because you saw all the reports. Everybody was like, "Yeah, we're ready for it. Snowplow trucks. Oh, we got this much salt." Da, 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 da. But then they kind of act like they got hit by the blizzard of '96 or something.
Yeah, now that was something. Now I will tell you that the blizzard of 96, I think DC even got somewhere around 18 to 15 to 18 inches in DC. Now in Germantown, which is north, way north of DC, they were over 2 feet
Jesus.
in blizzard of 96. I had family at that time that lived there, so I just happened to keep an eye on the weather.
Mm.
But switching gears a little bit, so if you want to hear something funny, that little, tool that was posted online, yeah, Lee and I had some words about it because he acted like a kid at a candy store that didn't get what he wanted and then ended up realizing that that was what he needed. And so, yeah, that was an interesting rebuttal when I saw that video.
Yeah. Nice little fun behind the scenes stuff to
Mm-hmm.
share with you guys. So if you haven't watched that video, it's posted on the YouTube channel. Just look under the shorts section. You'll see the video. So just kind of have that in the back of your heads when you're watching it. You'll get a nice little chuckle out of that bad boy. We got a fun show planned for you guys today. We're definitely going to do our best to keep it short and sweet. And we know at the time we're recording this right now, it's early Saturday afternoon. So I don't know how you guys are enjoying your weekend so far, but hopefully, again, it's off to a great start. You're taking it easy, and hopefully, you got all your shoveling out the way. There are still people that are shoveling. We're going to be going a little bit all over the place, touch upon some really interesting wrestling headlines. We're also going to be remembering some sports legends. We're also going to be reacting to some interesting Super Bowl predictions. So, a lot to get into on this show. First things first, let's talk just a little bit of wrestling and something that has been growing more and more, hun, in the past couple of, I would say several weeks, but definitely the past couple of months, it's grown more and more and more. And apparently, it's a real deal. I mean, it is a legit thing that is floating around here now amongst the wrestling community, and that is the fact of Triple H fatigue, as it's being diagnosed, as it's being dubbed. As I had said off and on about maybe 2 months now, I've said, man, it's really seemed like Triple H has become the P Diddy for WWE. To quote Suge Knight, all up in the videos, you know.
Huh.
He just all over the place. And God, it's just at first I kind of had this weird inkling, like this weird vibe. I don't know why, but I was starting to kind of go, when I would see Triple H, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why I was starting to have those kind of get away kind of vibes with Triple H, Paul Levesque. But the more and more that I just continue to watch the WWE product, the more and more that I see, like, man, this guy is everywhere. Like, he's just okay. I get that he's the chief content creator, officer, whatever the hell that title is. But man, we got him in the WrestleMania promos. Now we got him on the front cover of 2K, next video game that's going to be coming out and everything. We got him in the wrestling video packages for these PLEs. We got, like, you name it. Like, he's just everywhere, everywhere. And it's like, wow, for a guy that retired from the business handful of years ago, in ring competition wise, for somebody that's supposed to be a little bit more, reserved, a little bit more behind the scenes and all that other stuff, it has been the complete opposite. So much so, we've actually seen, and I did not notice until the next day, but after the Royal Rumble, apparently there was some UFC event that the WWE superstars had went to. I guess it was out there in Saudi Arabia, and they were introducing, some of the people that were there. I believe Rhea Ripley might have been in the house, but all these cats. The main point: all these cats that were in the house, they all got cheered by the Saudi Arabia fans. But then when they showed Triple H Paul Levesque, the Saudi crowd booed his ass. And here I was thinking the first time that, wow, Saudi don't like Triple H, huh? The Royal Rumble post show. When it was over, the Saudi crowd booed the hell out of Triple H. And there was actually chance, I'm trying to think if it made the pay per view. I don't think it made the pay per view. No, it didn't make the pay per view, the Royal Rumble pay per view. But the Saudi crowd booed Triple H, Paul Levesque during the Royal Rumble post show, and they chanted, "We want Vince." And
Oh wow.
so, yeah, and so now you got this weird kind of speculation going, like, why did Triple H, was this the Saudi fans reacting to the fact that there was no Chris Jericho, there was no surprises? Was this them
Mm.
just going, hey, overall, this guy just kind of sucked at the way he's been handling the WWE product thus far? I mean, it's interesting because when you think back to the NXT Black and Gold brand, which you and me, we watched a lot of
Hmm.
during that time compared to the more recent years, we were like, wow, this guy can do no wrong. We were advocates for Paul Levesque, like, hey, he's doing it right. He's doing good here. He should be given the opportunities. And now it just kind of seems like, okay, you got to the finish line. Now the gut can just come out, and you just can't help but almost kind of think, okay, whatever little good this man did have, did he get exposed?
He
Exposed from?
overexposed. He overexposed.
Do
If
you
you
really
think
think?
back to, yeah, if you think back to NXT,
Okay.
first inception up to maybe year 5 to 7,
Yeah.
you didn't see a whole lot of Triple H. You knew he was there, but you didn't see, I mean, you saw sprinklings. But now it's just the oversaturation. And people, unless you're wrestling, people don't want to see you like that. I mean, not everywhere.
Mm,
And I think part of it is that gives him that rush that wrestling did in a different way. So he's trying to maybe fulfill a need of his own, because why else would you essentially basically be everywhere? So that's just my 2 cents from a distance as it pertains to that. But it definitely is oversaturation. And then of course, you have some other, talks about, who was responsible for what and all this other stuff. So, it's not easy being in his position, but one thing for sure is when you have oversaturation of anything, that love, just like, okay, very short story. There was a 2 week stint that Lee had mac and cheese. He was just in love with mac and cheese for 2 weeks. And it took him almost 2 years after that 2 weeks to eat mac and cheese again. So again, oversaturation. It's like, oh, mac and cheese again, huh? Oh, all right, it's food. One of those things. Same deal.
I don't know, hun. For me, I'm a little conflicted on this one because on the one hand, I kind of at one time looked at it as a marketing ploy, right? Of, hey, there's a new sheriff in town. What you remember of the old, what you were tired of, like, hey, it's a new direction right here. Like, we're going in a completely different path. Let me reintroduce you to the new WWE. Things are much different now. And you hear from so many wrestlers about how, yo, this is not the WWE of yesteryear. This is definitely not the WWE when Vince was in charge. God bless him. Some say, yeah, they bless him and how he was so critical to a certain part in their careers and they'll forever be grateful, but that they can't deny that the new WWE under Triple H, Paul Levesque, like, yo, this is where it's at. Morale is at an all time high. So you hear all these great positive things, and at one point, my perspective of looking at Triple H being all out there was rebranding purposes and all that, right? Those that maybe were kind of interested. And I'm not just looking at it from, hey, we got to really put this out there for the fans. But I also was kind of looking at it from okay, potential sponsors, affiliates,
Mhm.
entities that maybe want to work with them. And they're like, wait a minute, don't you still got Vince? It's like, no, 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 no. He's completely out. This is a whole new regime now, right? Because Paul Levesque is at the helm of it and everything. And you could make an argument that before Vince was like totally phased out, that some of the things that was going on with WWE slash creative at the time, okay, this definitely feels like Vince McMahon fingerprints that's almost essentially being honored. Maybe there's a couple of tweaks here and there of, okay, I got to put my own little touch to this so that I can say I produced this. I'm almost thinking about the Richard Donner Superman stuff from back in the day with Christopher Reeve and just how all of that had essentially played out. For those that don't know the history and everything, obviously Richard Donner did the first Superman, and the way that he did the first Superman back in the day, he essentially had filmed Superman 1 and 2. But then somewhere along the ways, he had a fallout with Warner Brothers and other people. And basically, when it came to Superman 2, he pretty much was shown the door. So they had to have,
You
uh,
mean 3?
no, Superman 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me finish telling. Yeah, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So again, Superman 1 and 2. Donner did one, but when it came to the second one,
Okay.
he filmed enough because he decided he wanted to film one
Mm,
and two at the same time.
okay.
Well, Richard Donner had a fallout with Warner Brothers and all that when it came to the second one, and they basically showed him the door, and so they had to bring in another director. And this other director, keep in mind, like at this point, Donner had like about 90% of the film in the can as far as what all was filmed. So
Mm.
imagine having another director come in there. Okay, somehow I gotta like salvage this. But if I
Mm-hmm.
want to get the credit, I've got to produce like some of my own stuff. And so he did like these little things that just it's so blatantly obvious. Like I'll give you a perfect example. There's one scene where Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor arrives at the Fortress of Solitude. And if you pay very close attention, clear as day, when one of the three ex-Kryptonians is dropping off Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor onto the ground, uh, you pay very close attention and you hear what is supposed to be Lex Luthor speaking, and it's obviously a different voice actor that's dubbing in post production, right? And then you would have other scenes where Gene Hackman did not make himself available. And so you would just get like the back of what you think is Gene as Luther, back of his head. And it's basically somebody and then a dub. Like all these little nuanced little things would be done so that this guy could basically take all the credit for, yeah, didn't two look good? Yeah, that was me. If you don't know anything about that, I would highly encourage you guys to go look it up because they made a whole documentary about it, and it took a lot of years, but eventually we had got the Superman 1 and 2 Richard Donner cut, and so that particularly with Superman 2, you can even find this on YouTube. On YouTube, you can see everything that Donner had originally planned for 2, and then you can see what the other director, basically did, and it's like night and day. I can't help but think about Triple H, Paul Levesque in that role when Vince was officially phased out, but still the blueprint was all there, and Triple H is doing, okay, well, I can add my little fingerprints to this. I can touch this a little bit and make it my own. And it just feels like, okay, the more time that passes, the more Vince McMahon is definitely allegedly removed from the product and no input, whatsoever. And then you're kind of realizing, this Triple H Paul Levesque, creatively, he is a flaw. He is greatly exposed here. Whatever was said about him being a genius and all of that, like, hmm. Nah, kind of question that. And then look at the examples that we have. We have how he handled the John Cena tour. We have how he handled the AJ Styles situation. Now, that may be a case where, maybe it came right down to money, but Paul Levesque is definitely in a position where he can go, look, whatever this guy wants, we need to make it happen. We've heard Karrion Cross say, hey, all my conversations, I'm so used to talking to Triple H Paul Levesque. I never had a middleman before until now. So like, but you look at that. You look at how essentially MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Bobby Lashley were handled. All these people, all on Triple H's watch. You see some of the things that Ricochet has said during his time in WWE, even under, Triple H Paul Levesque's watch. There's so many things that kind of add up where you just go, what's really going on here, right? Nice transition, but you look, for example, the CM Punk Roman Reigns promo. I came in here on the post show earlier in the week and I said, yo, that segment, it rocked. That was definitely one of the most kick-ass moments that fans are going to be remembering for many years to come. It was definitely a really badass moment because we got Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Like, okay, this is definitely a fresh matchup right here on the road to WrestleMania, which is like 10 weeks away and everything. And I was cheesing. You saw my face. I was cheesing at that. And I know you were like, yo, yeah, that segment was pretty good. Some
Mm-hmm.
of our friends in the podcasting world, they and I love all my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world, but some of them looked at that segment and they begged to differ. They thought that by Roman Reigns saying to CM Punk, I'm picking you simply because I hate you. I can't stand you. I'm gonna make you acknowledge me. Bringing up Punk leaving WWE 10 plus years ago, going on his little friend's podcast to air out his grievances about the company. Um, like all of that was just regurgitation. It really didn't do anything for them. Some felt that CM Punk just looked like he was totally clocked out, wasn't truly engaged in the segment. He looked very disconnected. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. Um, and I never looked at, I never, even some wrestling fans in the community were kind of reacting the same way, But like, if you were to ask me at the time, like how it was looking as far as the overall reactions, 60% enjoyed what they saw. You had about 15%. That's where my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world fit, where they kind of were like, that was some shit. And then the rest mixed.
Hmm.
So I'm sure you can kind of understand, but I'm curious. What were your thoughts about this segment? Because you did watch it in its entirety.
Um, I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
I thought it was a promo like any other promo. I mean, I've seen CM Punk, um, essentially before he left, do promos like that. You know, we are we're a little bit in a different society now as far as what you can get away with and what you can't, as far as talking with another person. There are a lot of people that are a bit, um, how do I say this? Timid in reference to what is said, um, in the interactions. It kind of goes back to, okay, if you were a kid in the, early 80s to late 80s versus 2000s to 2010. Oh my gosh, the difference in the dialogue that you would get is eons away from each other. As far as, what was said. And I'd be honest with you, took it no different than that. I took it as, okay, you know what? You want to say you're this, you want to say you're that, but okay, I got something for you. How about let's talk about what you did? And I personally, I had no problem with it. Now, as you're stating, as far as he looked checked out, mm, I wasn't really looking at his face like that to know whether he was or wasn't. So, um, I thought they both brought the energy. I thought they both brought together a good promo. Um, sometimes you have people who are just reading things in to things that aren't even there. I, I personally, like I said, I personally had no problem with it. I thought it was good TV, and I thought they made it believable.
I
That
can,
was my thoughts.
yeah, and I appreciate, because I mean, after all, when it's at the end of the day, what promotions like WWE is trying to strive for, they want that casual fan such as yourself. They want that semi-casual fan such as yourself. And if they can have you specifically going, yay, I liked it. I'm all in. I dug it. That's what they want, right?
Hmm.
And so, but to those more veteran eyes, right? Those of us such as myself. Now, even though I said what I said, and I still stand behind, you're not gonna hear me flip flop. You're not. But what I will say is, you know what? I understand where some of my friends and colleagues are coming from. understand what some wrestling fans are saying and why they feel that way. It's kind of one of those deals where it's like, because of the critical lens that we're supposed to have when we're reviewing this stuff and we're critiquing it and all of that. Yeah, you're supposed to be open-minded and everything, but you're always also supposed to be able to go, okay, well, how could this have potentially been made any better, right? Like, let's not just, talk about, why it was bad, or why it didn't work, but what about ways of, making some type of improvement and everything. I know a thing or two about writing a script, right? Trying to prepare a script and all that for a segment. I mean, the segment, if I'm really putting it on my critical lens, let me talk about, to piggyback on what you just touched upon, what worked in the segment. What worked in the segment was Roman basically saying the bosses came to him before
Hmm.
Punk was approved to return. So that kind of led, I look at that and I go, wow, imagine being told, hey, yeah, you might have been able to come back to the company, but it wasn't
Yeah.
because it was water under the bridge. I am hearing some type of
Yeah, I was gonna
weird,
say, I was getting ready to.
what's going on?
You've got a lot of static.
And I see it's mainly coming from your end. You got a lot of crunchiness going on at your end.
I'm not doing anything different than I was doing.
That's weird because I'm seeing your signal is down to one.
That might be
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, well, if you get disconnected, we can pull an audible and try something else. But what was I saying? Yeah, like it's damn, that's staticky. Let me mute you for a hot second. And then hopefully as I'm talking, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me though. No, she can't hear me. I have to unmute. I said, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. And can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. But if I do this, can you hear me? You can't hear me. Okay, okay. All right. So I'm gonna put you on mute for a hot second, and I'll unmute you once the signal gets back a little stronger here. Okay. Hang on, hang on. Let's see here. I hate this. I really, really do. I hate this. So originally, just kind of give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the scenes. Originally, Tams was like, "Do you want me to just come into the studio and we do the show?" But as you guys can see, I got so many prompts behind me. Like, it's really, really hard to figure out where all the props are gonna go, and then figuring out how I can get another camera set up for Tams so that y'all can see her and all that. So I got to figure out that learning curve. Once I'm able to figure out that particular learning curve, and that it doesn't, because this is the other reason why I don't have you in the room, hun, is because I also the reverb, potential reverb. Now, I think the
Hmm.
last time we did the show, I think we had you connected to the mixer and
I don't
everything.
remember what you did.
I think you were, when you were in here last, because your sound and all that was in the mixer, as was coming to the same mixer as well.
Hmm.
What
I
I can't,
remember you saying something about calling in
no, no, no,
after.
no, no, no. Remember when you used to come into the studio and we
Oh,
just,
yes, yes, that was coming through
yeah,
the mixer as well.
that was
Yes.
all coming through the mixer. So I wonder if that might, I don't know, but I got to figure out the logistics on that. But anyway, as far as what worked, Roman saying what he said there about the bosses came to him to get his blessing on Punk returning if he would sign off on it. That lets you know, okay, this isn't about water under the bridge. This is, Like, and Punk's like under the impression, oh, hey, like, no, no, no. It came down to one person, basically, in this case, Roman, essentially acting as the gatekeeper. He alone was responsible for Punk coming back in. So the idea that Punk's return was approved, it was of approval, not being forgiven. Man, does that paint such a riveting picture here. And then WWE naming an opponent for the male side of the Royal Rumble going into WrestleMania, for them to do it immediately after the Rumble. I give them credit for that because guess what? We got 10 weeks to go now until WrestleMania, right? So if you're going to pussyfoot around and you're going to have one of your Rumble winners, which that's what we saw this week with SmackDown, Liv Morgan's bouncing around. Oh, I can't decide. She's like a kid at the candy store. She's pussyfooting around with that one, right? At least right here in regards to Roman and Punk, you're going, okay, no weeks of teasing. Here's a real choice that went down right away. It's a fresh matchup. We're not getting Cody versus Roman for a third WrestleMania in a row. We should definitely make, most people happy and all that. I think the core issue, not so much, the problem wasn't what Roman said. I think it was more about the problem was why Roman said what he said, right? And we can all be in agreement. Saying I pick you because I hate you. Okay, I'll give you that. That is pretty flat, right?
Yeah.
That is pretty flat, right? And what WWE failed to really illustrate here is that it is about control versus disruption. And I want you all to really remember that control versus disruption. Because how I would have set this up properly, if I was given the chance to tweak this, would I have left out the podcasting stuff, Cocabana stuff that CM Punk had did? Yes, I would have left
Hmm.
all that crap out. Because guess what? We've heard Drew McIntyre say that crap already. We've already heard Seth Rollins say that crap already. So, and if you really stop and think about it, we've even, to a degree, those shots about MMA and all that, we've even heard a little bit of that in AEW when Punk was there. So, like, we can definitely just like put that to the side. Like that's nothing. How I would have framed Roman's motivation for picking CM Punk. Roman doesn't pick Punk because of hate. He picks Punk because he is a threat to the system. And Roman could have been like, dude, let's be honest. When you don't get your way, you don't just say, fuck it, I'm out. You say, fuck it, and you burn that bridge. You destroy relationships with people that you've had. And sadly, those people are at the receiving end of that destruction of a path that you left without even making sure that you almost done there. Cause I mean, man, I'm getting woozy. Jesus Christ,
Sorry,
man.
but the girls were trying to interrupt. They wanted to be on the show too.
Oh, Jesus. But it's like, you understand what I'm saying? And everybody else, it's like that's how you spin it. You have Roman go, no, you're a disruptor. When you don't have it your way, you don't just bow out and you don't do business the right way. You burn a bridge, you roll out, and then you don't care about the people that are left in the wake of how you exit, right? And then here's what would have been a more interesting little spin. Roman should have said something along the lines of, dude, I know you. You forget when you recruited me, Dean, and Seth. You forget. We know the real you. We know what you're all about. And look, you that same cat. Once you rolled out, you wasn't thinking about WWE. You wasn't thinking about wrestling in general. So much so, you even distance yourself from it. You even try to adopt, a new identity. Phil, right? I mean, at least that's one thing they did right. Roman kept calling him Phil. He never called him Punk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wish he could have leaned into that a little bit more, and then been like, you don't have to mention the Phil MMA stuff. You could be like, how'd that comic book writing go for you, huh? That was a dud, wasn't it? Right? Oh, and then you found some money mark who was willing to let you do any and everything. My God, this dude even had a whole new show built around you and people that you wanted to work with. Talk about bending over backwards for you. Doesn't that sound familiar? That would have been kind of a nice little fresh element to a certain degree. But then what ultimately happened with Punk and AEW? He disrupted, right? Whether there's always, but you could definitely look at it, everything that happened, and say, there's definitely some disruption that's going on there. Roman could have painted himself easily as, Punk, you're a disruptor. You're not about elevating others. Look at all the years that I was champion for, whatever, 1,300, whatever. And look at all the people that he was able to elevate in the process, whether in the bloodline or out the bloodline, right? So Roman could have, in the way that promo should have been set up, Roman could have been about, no, I must dethrone you because at the end of the day, you're just a selfish son of a bitch that's going to be all about control. It's about individuality with you. Me, on the other hand, I've proven time and time again stability, reliability, elevating, right? That's how he could have spun this. But and they even could have mentioned Paul Heyman. They could have, I was thinking about it too. Wouldn't it have been interesting if the vision, Paul Heyman and them, they were like, we got to make sure Braun wins. But it also would have been interesting had they also had Heyman cross paths with Roman right before the Rumble. And Roman's like, how long have you known me? How long have you known my family? When I put my mind to something and I see it through, I always come out on top. And what if that would have made Roman go, correction, what if that would have made Heyman go, oh shit, hmm, I saw something in his eyes. Yo, I know we as the Vision, we talking about making sure we win this Rumble. We got to make sure Roman don't win at any cost. And then what if Heyman would have somehow crossed paths with CM Punk and try to, form an alliance or whatever? That would have added a little bit more fuel to the fire, kind of going into the Rumble and then kind of coming out of it or whatever, right? All of that works better. You just dodge the MMA, the podcasting crap. It makes Roman feel more like a final boss. It gives WWE a real runaway to build a story, and it elevates the match beyond old wounds, right? But at the end of the day, I'm like you. I didn't hate the segment. I still feel that WWE is off to a good start. They've got 10 weeks of storytelling to really build up and hype this match. But it's all about, if I could give them advice, really frame this as about control versus chaos, empire versus disruption, gatekeeper versus a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they should be doing this.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a good pitch.
Yeah, I mean, if you really, because I mean, if you really take a step back and you think about it, right? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if more fans like you, Hunt, they just go, no, it was good, but like to that critical lens. I mean, and if we're really being honest, yeah, we've seen some of the same rhetoric before. Like it could have been. You got 10 weeks. That's why I'm kind of like, just sit back and enjoy the show, everybody, because you got 10 weeks of storytelling. A lot can happen. Look, if by the time we get to WrestleMania they haven't done jack, then I'm right there with you. It adds to what we were initially talking about before, which is the Triple H fatigue syndrome, right? You
Mhm.
get something that starts off like, wow, that's a really good idea. So what's the nooks and crannies? What's the bolts and all of that? We don't know. We just have the main skeleton. That's it. That's it. What do you think about the idea of some people saying WWE really isn't going to truly be of a new, it's really not a new era until Paul Levesque, Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, Road Dogg, they're all out of there from their positions. What do you say to that?
So I say you are going to get rid of what worked in lieu of what doesn't work.
Hmm.
So because just like your story about Superman 1 and 2, you have one thing that worked and 2 was 90% or 75% him, so you might as well call it his. But then when you got to Superman 3, it sucked balls.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay, so we're dealing with a whole new director, a whole new whatever, who sees things differently, does things differently, and you're also getting rid of what works.
Richard Lester too was the one that
Yeah.
stepped in on Superman 2 for you folks. I was kind of drawing a blank there. Yeah, I hate this. I hate to speculate. I really really do. But I will say this: I look at guys like Christopher Park, Abyss. I look at Robert Roode. I look at T.J. Wilson, Tyson Kidd, Kenny Dystra. They've got some really damn good producers and creative heads that's already in place. And it's kind of one of those, if they could just really lean into those guys more, like you shouldn't need a room of 10 fucking people to try to come up with an angle for somebody, and those 10 people are struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if all those creative minds that's in that room are struggling that bad to come up with a good creative pitch and how it makes sense and all of that, to that I say, well, maybe you need to like fire all those guys, and
Mm-hmm.
and you either bring in some people that can actually offer some damn creative input, or you just blow the shit up, and you just start from scratch, even removing yourself essentially from the situation. I don't know. It's
Well, I
just
mean, if you have a table of 10 people, then at minimum, you should have probably at least 3 kick ass ideas that are people are like, oh shit, yeah. And then they've added at least 2 to 3 of them.
to your
Like, oh
point.
yeah, that makes sense. And then do it like that. But if you really are in a table of 10 people and all you can come up with is lackluster,
Mhm.
yeah, you need a new team.
Yeah, to your point, and I don't want to segue too much, but to your point, we know Ava the Rock's daughter, she rolled out so much great buzz going into this past Tuesday's NXT. And it was like, ooh, who's going to be appointed? Who's going to be appointed? And it's Robert Stone. I don't expect you to know who that is. And I don't expect most people to, but it's like they go with Robert Stone. And it's like, wait, this is the guy that, so we're not going to get William Regal again? William Regal's not going to come back on our TV and is going to feel like an old glove, like everything is just right in the world. I'm sitting there and I'm going, this is the best that creative could come up with. We go with Robert Stone. Here's a fucking idea for you. Chelsea Green has already proven time and time again that you give her an opportunity. And I'm not just saying this just to be anybody that's actually watched NXT within the past couple of months. You've seen that she has made multiple appearances on that respected brand. So talk about a easy transition if you wanted to slide her into a strictly a TV role where the viewer has to question, is she really doing this because of her, her job, or is she showing a little bit of favoritism here? It's does she got some is she biased? Is that's what's going on here? Or I'll give you a better one. Our truth.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't really doing nothing with our truth. Can you imagine how zany and wacky that would be to have our truth as the NXT authority figure?
It'd be one match at the beginning of the night, and a whole different match of what comes out.
I mean, seriously, it'd be crazy. Some interesting as we kind of we'll talk a little bit more wrestling in a little bit. Let's
I
segue a
would
little
say we're at about 20%.
for your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you better start charging it now that you kind of got a good signal going on and everything. Um this is
Unfortunately, mm-hmm.
yeah. Pizza Hut, just don't worry, we got a little bit more for you. Pizza Hut has made their news or made the rounds in the news. Not sure how many of you guys are aware of this, but this is a pretty big deal. You know, those guys got purchased by the Yum Company. Uh, God, it feels like maybe it's been about what, 10, 15 years that Yum had stepped in and purchased Pizza Hut. But apparently, Pizza Hut made the announcement this week that they're going to be closing 250 locations because they're underperforming. And to make matters worse, y'all, apparently Pizza Hut is talking about the idea of a possible sale. I gotta admit, when I first heard this news, I said, "Wow, I didn't know there were problems with Pizza Hut." Hearing a little bit of reverb, hopefully it'll take care of it. So, hey, there's my little buddy. There's one of my furry little daughters. Boy, Tams is just showing the whole damn bedroom today. At this point, you might
Well,
as
I
well
mean,
should just you
you
might as
said
well.
charge the phone.
I mean, we going ghetto on this show. I mean, damn. We just showing the bed. We showing the girls. We got the wife get nah. Don't you get on the bed? No, 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 no.
Well, damn, how you want me to? I'm gonna turn my camera off in a minute.
This show is off the fucking rails. So I hear you're into podcasting. Yes, that's very, I would like to see an example of your show. Sorry that my wife is getting on the bed there. But she just, so mental note to self, don't show this episode. Damn.
Damn.
I mean, you don't fucking switch like you don't show like at least 8 angles so far. Jesus Christ. Push come to shove. Push come to shove, you can always just, take the charger and go to the kitchen if it's that bad. Damn. Okay. Let's see if we can kind of pick this show back up. Uh Pizza Hut, there's unfortunate news that's going on with them. That really sucks to hear. What did you think when you initially heard the news? Were you shocked? Were you not surprised?
Um, wasn't surprised. Definitely not shocked. I will say that obviously, I can see that there are some stores that are underperforming a little bit because they're not busy. And according to the report I read, looks like they were down in their sales about 3% because of those underperforming stores.
3% or 30%?
What I read was 3.
That's a small 3%, but it must add It must be a lot.
It must be a lot.
Huh?
Now the funny thing is, obviously they touched on the fact that there's such a saturated market for it that, that's part of the deal as far as the underperformance. Now, I know our local Pizza Hut stays busy quite a bit.
Why are the girls whining?
I, who knows?
I'm just curious. Why are the girls whining?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Interesting.
They
Interesting.
were fine, but
Interesting.
then I had to come get a
So
charger, and then
to hear that these to hear that the
what?
stores, they probably are looking for me, or maybe they hear me and they probably want to whatchamacall. Anyway,
Don't worry, they
it's
just opened the
interesting to
door.
hear what's going on. Oh, good. So that should take care of them. Good, good. Let them go roam. But it's interesting to hear what's going on with Pizza Hut because I mean, depending, let's be honest, people, depending on where you go in regards to Pizza Hut, it can be hit or miss. I mean, perfect example
That's true.
as Tams is down to one bar. Tams is down to one bar, y'all. So we look, if you get disconnected, just call and just text me and I'll just call you and we'll patch you in audio wise that way. Because good God Almighty, I think this is I like when you all are able to see our faces, but for whatever respected reason, this feature that EV Mux has, this is the software platform that we use for the streams and all that. It's what I've been using for a while now. I'm noticing when I try to bring in guests, even if the guest is using their cell phone and they are connected to the home internet. So, how I'm talking to you right now, how I'm doing the stream, as always, I'm connected to the home internet. No connection issues that I am seeing right now. But Tams is down to like one bar for whatever reason and she's connected to our home internet. So help me make that make sense because it doesn't. It doesn't. But whenever she just calls in, she doesn't do the video stream. That's fine. No disconnect. And the funny thing is, when it's the phone, the audio sounds crisp and clear. I don't know. Kind of weird. Kind of weird. Anyway, I think about what happened last year. I don't know if we had talked about it on the show, but I know last year, exactly a year ago, people, we had messed with the Pizza Hut that was down the street from us, and we got sick. We weren't the only ones that got sick. A couple of our family members had got sick eating the same food. We had got the same pizza, shared the same pizza, some little boneless wings, and we all got sick. And my mother-in-law went to that Pizza Hut a couple of days later and told them, "Hey, your food made me and my family sick." And rather than them go, "Oh my God, we're so sorry to hear that," they were like, "Oh, you must have us mistaken with another restaurant." Like, no, no, our food didn't make you sick. No. And man, I love what this woman did. My mother-in-law, cause man, did she fuck around? This employee, did she fuck around and found out? So my mother-in-law drove to the house. Little did this employee know, my mom, like only 5 minutes away. She lived only 5 minutes away from the Pizza Hut. So she goes to the house, grabs the receipt because she's looking for the receipt. Like, I know that receipt's right. Finds the receipt, goes right back to the Pizza Hut, confronts that woman, and says, "Here it is in black and white. Look at the date and everything. I was at this Pizza Hut." Like, once again, she like, "Your food made me sick." And so the woman thought she could fucking smooth things over by offering her free food. And, my mother-in-law was like, "No, this isn't about trying to get free food. This isn't even about trying to get a refund. This is about letting you know, y'all need to fucking switch it up. Like, your food made us all sick, and that's not cool. He's like, I'm never coming back here again. Fast forward a year later, boy, you talk about dirty. Fast forward a year later, so I think it was last weekend. Tams is like, "Oh, mom's brought some food." I'm like, "Oh, well, what we got the nibble on?" And I'm tagging along with Tams going downstairs. She goes, "Oh, there's pizza." I'm like, "Yeah, if I hear pizza, I'm there." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so I see the pizza. I go, "Oh, Pizza Hut," and I'm thinking, "Oh, she must have went to that other Pizza Hut that I like." And so I grab a slice. Like, I'm like, "Oh man, so good." And then basically Tams goes, because I say, "Oh, which Pizza Hut was this, by the way?" And at first she just goes, and then I'm like, "Uh oh," because she does a little chuckle. I'm like, "Wait a minute." Oh, it's down the street, but it's under new management. I'm like, and I told her, I said, "Way to bury the lead." Like he could have started it off, you know, "Hey, it's from down the street." Before I pop it in my mouth, I was like, "Hey, it's from down the street, but don't worry because apparently it's under new management, so it's good." But it was good, right? But you just can't help but wonder if we got sick a year ago because of the way that particular store underperformed in regards to, because look, you can
Mm-hmm.
lose customers for how you're making those foods. If you're not making it as close to how, as close, nobody is expecting it to look exactly like it does on TV, but it's got to look fucking presentable. And if you're not making it look presentable, you know, nobody's okay, you're giving me this shit and then it's half cooked or or worse. Yeah, motherfucker's gonna go, yeah, I'll take my business elsewhere. But it's weird
Mm-hmm.
seeing that these guys got all these issues that's going on with them, because I think we read the same article. Domino's is apparently kicking their ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, part of the competition as far as the saturated market. But yeah, their counterpart, and well, I can promise you, if they had to base it on the one that's near my job, they wouldn't be underperforming against them.
Well, you also got to think
That
about,
mess is nasty.
yeah, you also got to think about where are the locations for some of these Pizza Huts too, because if it's not a situation where it's in a downtown area or like in the middle of a suburban neighborhood where like, oh yeah, you definitely are going to get some big booming business. If we're talking about having a Pizza Hut that's essentially on some type of a funky ass rinky dinky strip,
Mm-hmm.
part of a rinky dinky strip, and as far as like the odds that the orders are going to be, I can tell you, for example, this lets you know that there's like been a change in the wind because I remember when I was doing gig delivery work 3 years ago, I would stay seeing orders for Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
My phone wouldn't even be on the app for like 5 minutes, and I would get a Pizza Hut order. And then I would say within the last 15 months, maybe 18 months, give or take, I could count off one hand how many times I would see Pizza Hut pop up. The main
Mm-hmm.
ones that the main one that I would see pop up would be Pizza Hut from other locations, like big booming locations. Like sometimes I would get dinged for a Pizza Hut in Silver Spring, right?
Right.
But like the other Pizza Huts that I would think, oh, I'm gonna get a ding for those. Like no, because remember, Domino's still uses their own. They've got their own drivers,
Mm-hmm.
and to a certain degree, Papa John's too. But they will put it out there on DoorDash and other
Mm-hmm.
apps and all that other stuff. So it's crazy when you think about it because like when I think about who's got better ingredients, I do give the edge to Papa John's. But as far as whose pizza tastes better, Pizza Hut. But I got to put an asterisk by them because it's like it really depends on which Pizza Hut you go to.
That's true.
And I keep telling people, and it's nice to see people are agreeing with me more and more when I say this. A lot of folks are sleeping on Little Caesars. Little Caesars is they
Too much
chipping away.
bread.
Yeah, but they chipping away. That shit getting better, man.
Oh, well, okay.
That shit getting better. Speaking of food, pains me to say this, but if you are a grocery shopper for your respected household and you love a good deal, you know, I'm hurting sharing this news. Amazon Fresh stores are no more. Oh man. Run with that a bit, hon. Tell the good folks what happened.
um, well, so I guess about a week prior to the closure, they had announced it on our local Facebook page for the area. And I thought, oh man, they're what?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Lee was then telling me, he's like, yeah, they closing this week. And I was like, what do you mean this week? He's like, yeah, they're closing Sunday. And I was like, oh, wow. Because I just assumed, oh, well, maybe, a month. No, they were closing that thing within a week. And I can promise you guys, I went there one night to get the girls some food. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to stop here real quick, go get some. And there were people. It was, guys, let me paint the picture. It was 20 some degrees outside. There were people with carts, empty carts, waiting to get into the Amazon Fresh because they were offering 50% off.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the people in the carts. No, actually, let me back up. The first day, they said, no, we closed at 8 o'clock. And it was like 8:03. I was like, oh, brother. And I was like, well, that's crazy. Anyway, I had to go back around there the next night, and that's what I saw with the people with the carts. But nevertheless, their prices were comparable and less than most other grocery chains that we have in this area. You actually had value for your money, but they didn't do not near the amount of marketing they should have. They did it in the beginning, a lot of advertisements, mailers, things of that nature in the beginning they did, but that just kind of stopped. And, it's going to be interesting when we get into the next topic, but you have a store that you didn't really market like that. Because I promise you, the week before I found out, I must have told 3 people about Amazon Fresh. And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. My goodness, this was great. Even to the point when we had family come in from out of town, we were going to take them. And we ended up doing something different, and then just never got back around to it. But the deals were there. I mean, in this times that we're in, it was really a nice breath of fresh air to not have to spend 3 arms and 4 legs, for groceries.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, to be honest with you, I'm still salty about it. Um, because it was my go-to, because for me, I could just stop on the way home, get what I needed to get, and then just continue to come through there versus what I was doing before. And this is exactly what I was doing before. I was going to this store, that store, that store, depending on who had the better deal.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's probably what I'm going to go back to doing.
They really did have a damn good deals. I mean, I can't exaggerate it enough. And it wasn't a case people were like, oh, it was only at this price for this particular day or this particular week. No, it was the everyday price. So, like, for instance, between classes or running errands, I would say to Tam, say, hun, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna, get a little something. Do you need anything? And she's like, nah, nah, I'm good. Okay, well, I'm gonna get a couple of cans of food for the girls. Like, how many cans you think I should get? And she'd be like, I get them, that's time over till next week. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, I used to be able to get
Mm.
cans of food for the girls. Tam's got disconnected there, so I'm definitely gonna hang on here. I'm gonna
There
go
you
ahead
go.
and call her. Oh wait, there you go. You came back. Okay, good. You came back. There you go. Getting disconnected there.
I still can't hear you.
You still can't. That's funny because I'm talking. I didn't mute you. Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Yeah, you responded.
Because I can hear you through the wall.
Oh, good thing I didn't say you mother. Where's that? Where's that button? Where's that button? The good thing I didn't say you. So you still can't hear me, right? You still can't hear me, right?
Not through the phone, no.
Okay, so let me do this. Disconnect. I'm gonna call you and bring you in that way.
All right.
Okay.
So get out of this.
Get out of that because I'm gonna call you
Okay.
right now. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Disconnect. All right. So let me hang on, guys. I'm doing this off the fly. Let me see here. Kick speaker. Yep. That way she doesn't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to call wifey. We only know what's working when we actually try it. So I appreciate everybody's patience. So I can promise you. You hear me, hon?
Hello.
Hey, there you go. Okay. So hang on here. Let me bring in your graphic. I got to figure out how I did that last time here. I think I clicked on this, layers, and bam, there we go. All right. What were we talking about? Yeah. And so I would go to the store, Amazon Fresh store, and I could find a can of dog food for either $1.25, or if it just happened to be on sale, like anywhere from 35 cents to like I've paid as high as 70 cents a can. And I would fucking load.
Oh, it's never that low anywhere.
And not anywhere else, no. Not anywhere else, no. But the few times that I went to Amazon Fresh, my prices were around that range.
As in 70 cents a can?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I remember when I went there, they were like $1.30, which is probably 50 to 70 cents less than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. It sucks. Now, in an update, I do want to share this with you guys. Amazon said that in regards to store workers, they're going to be paid through at least late April. And from
at least there's that.
At least there's that. And then from there, fresh workers could get a severance or a transfer within Amazon's grocery operations. So,
where else are they operating?
When I hear that Amazon's grocery operations, that doesn't say to me stores. That kind of says to me that, because I know when you go online, you can do.
Meaning Amazon Prime type of deal?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what that is. But yeah, these guys have spent a lot of money, Amazon, to try to get this off the ground and running. It's amazing how much time flies by. They've been messing around with this, trying to get it popping for 6 years.
Wow.
For 6 years. And they're going to be closing roughly 60 Amazon Fresh stores in the U.S. I'm looking at a report by Business Insider that mentions the decision means that thousands of Amazon Fresh employees are losing their roles. So, like in California, for example, Amazon is set to close roughly 20 Fresh stores. That's going to affect
Hello?
almost 4,000 viewers. I'm sorry, that's going to affect
No.
over. I'm talking. Can't you hear? That's
Hello?
Yeah, I'm talking. Hello. Oh my God. This show is just off the fucking rails today. Like, seriously. Let's try calling her back one more time. I don't know what's going on with her. She is having like the weirdest fucking problems at her end.
Hello?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
I know.
This show is off the rails today. You know that? Jesus, nothing's fucking
Yep.
going right. You know, between you showcasing the bedroom and really getting comfortable where you got on the bed, you was about to stretch on out there, kick your legs up and everything. I can just picture you back in the 80s with the corded phone. Then what happened?
Yep.
No, I was saying that in California, for example, Amazon is set to close roughly 20 Fresh stores, and that's going to affect almost 4,000 workers.
Wow.
Yeah. So, sucks what's going on, but at least they're getting that severance package and all that.
True.
Yeah, they'll bounce back.
But in other news, Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, has put out this very big lump sum of money for our next topic.
Yeah, go for it.
So Jeff Bezos has essentially put a sum of $75 million into the documentary for Melania's movie, which apparently didn't fare so well. I think the last I saw, it moved up from a 1.1 on IMDb to a 1.3.
So it had a budget of $40 million, and apparently it brought in a box office of $9 million and some change.
Right, and some of the other, I think it was $40 million, and then promotional was $35 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it brought in. Now, in reference to your, there was some rebellion there, I think, because you also had Becoming Michelle Obama out on Netflix that has been out for a while, that saw a 13% resurgence over the last weekend.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing who directed this movie, and now things are becoming much more crystal clear to me.
Yeah, they're.
You know who directed this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett Ratner.
Yeah. Who is responsible for the Rush Hour franchise. And remember,
correct.
Trump has been, but I bring him up to say he has been a key component in Trump basically, hey, I want to see another Rush Hour movie, let's freaking do it. And it's because of Trump that now things have greatly advanced for the next Rush Hour movie. So why am I not surprised that Brett Ratner is the one responsible for? And there has been some bad controversial things said about Brett Ratner over the years. So just kind of interesting. Very, very interesting. Speaking of Hollywood, I was watching this new series I think it's called Hollywood Demons, and Dr. Drew from Loveline with Adam Carolla. He's, I won't really say host, but he is a talking head for this. And I watched the two-parter that they did on the Power Rangers, and that was just mind blowing. I didn't know Power Ranger alumni Jason David Frank was going through so much behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, we had an opportunity to meet him at one of the
We
awesome
had
cons.
an opportunity to meet him. Yes, yes, and I definitely was. I was pretty close to. You know what? I want to meet this dude, but I I always said it's so interesting, isn't it? Like you go, next year, because my whole deal was, well, he's always at these things, so it's all good. There's next time.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of one of those, nah, you have the opportunity in front of you. Go ahead and take it. Because you
Hmm.
just never know. You just never know. That's why, as painful as it is, when I think about Chris Cornell and his passing, boy, I take comfort knowing as a fan, I got to see him, you know. And
Hmm.
and it wasn't just, oh, I saw him doing, during his solo tour. No, I got to see him and Soundgarden, right? I got to see them as Soundgarden perform. Like that's the stuff dreams are made of, memories are made of. And
Yeah, but it's not like you was up in the bleachers either.
Yeah, front row seats. Yes, yes, I was in
Hmm.
the third row, so I had the fucking experience and everything. So just yeah, but I was watching that, and it was just like, wow, to see what some of these people are going through and all that. I brought up Brett Ratner and just some of the allegations and stuff that's been made against him, and I was beginning to watch another episode of Hollywood Demons where they covered the father from Seventh Heaven. Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. Holy shit is all I gotta say. I gotta have you watch that episode. That was just some pretty powerful stuff there. Speaking of powerful, this was kind of quietly powerful. Y'all might have missed it. But Big E was recently interviewed, and he officially announced that his in-ring wrestling career is over. I know that for years, because I would hear it right here on the show. Folks would be like, Lee, when do you think Big E is gonna be making his return? Hey Lee, how about Big E on this Monday Night Raw? Hey Lee, for the Royal Rumble, Big E. Like I would hear all types of fantasy booking from folks, and it was nice to see everybody be like, for me personally, it was nice seeing people go, they're still keeping Biggie in their thoughts, and they want to see this dude return so bad, and I get where they were coming from and everything, but for me, I always felt, well, Biggie's been very transparent. He hasn't sugarcoated anything. He's been giving it to people right between the eyes on social media about his status and everything. And my answer would always be consistent whenever people would be like, "Oh, Big E, all the fantasy booking." My answer would always be the same, which is, I'm not concerned about him making an in-ring return. What I care about most is that he is just physically 100% healthy. He's enjoying life. Like, don't even think about wrestling right now. Just do what you got to do. Get yourself whole. And if it's in the cards, it's in the cards. If it's not, it's not. Did you read the statement that Big E made, honey?
Hmm.
I
Yeah, I did.
I thought that was a really good social media post there. I guess I'll read it because it's a kind of short one, right? It just seems to be a short post.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. So he said on social media, I entered the pro wrestling industry at age 23 with an injury history that included a torn left ACL, torn right ACL, torn left pec, and a broken right patella. At 39, I'm well aware that I will one day have to pay the piper. I've put my body through a lot and somehow I feel great. I don't battle pain daily. I'm able to function normally and healthy. I'm eternally grateful for the wonderful career I stumbled into. I pray for all my fellow athletes and performers who have not had the same. Oh, correction. Yeah, I said that right. Who have not had the same good fortune. A sincere thank you to everyone who has taken the time to follow my in-ring career. It was an immeasurable gift to get to perform for you all. And yeah, during Super Bowl week, he spoke with a radio show and addressed, whether or not he would ever return. And he said, and I quote, I'm content. In wrestling, they always say never. But right now, I'm retired. And that for me is it. So I'm focused on other things right now. Later on, he would say, my career is kind of behind me. I'm someone who is appreciative. I think I had a really good career and I'm proud of it. So that definitely sounds like a stick, a fork in it, like that in-ring career.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always gonna be, and I don't say this as a knock, Tams, but there's always gonna be some people out there that's gonna, look at this and be like, well, it's not crystal clear laid out. He didn't say exactly word for word that, we'll never see him. No, it's, I think he let it be pretty fucking crystal clear. He is done, but you're always going to have people that's going to fantasy book. Look, let me tell you something. The only way you're going to see Big E ever wrestle, you got to pick up your favorite WWE 2K game and do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that currently now in the stage of life of where he's at, and of course, we don't really know the extent of where his injuries are and how they've healed and whether or not he will ever be cleared to wrestle again.
Mm-hmm.
So as of right now, what his mind is, okay, let me go focus on other endeavors and see where that takes me, and it seems like, because it wasn't like, oh, well, you can't wrestle anymore. So, there's other things that we can have you do.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be working with him, or at least from what I saw, they seem to be working quite a bit with him on that. And he was pretty decent at it from what I saw. So it seems like, I'm done. Maybe let me at this point just ride off into the sunset. Forge a new path, do a new thing. My time here is done.
And I mean, not for nothing. He has a bright career ahead of him as just an overall commanding on-screen character. I can see him being the host of and this is not me blowing smoke up Big E's ass, like legit. I've seen enough of his personality and everything from what he's been doing on the kickoff shows, little panels and the post-show panels and all of that. I've seen enough of him to be able to say this confidently. If he wants to be the next host of the Family Feud, or Scrabble, or What America Says, I can see him easily doing that, hands down. I could easily see him being a special guest if he has the right movie project that comes into his hands. I can see him being a host for Saturday Night Live and participating in some really cool comedic sketches. I can see him if for whatever respected reason Alfonso Ribeiro is not available to do America's Funniest Home Videos, I could see him easily sliding right into that. And then, like, he is very versatile. So don't think just because I mention all of those things, oh, that's that good, friendly little home, family image. Like, you could plug him in and out. I could also see him being a really good bad guy on a TV show. I know Power is the TV series Power is kind of in this weird limbo right now because we got the final season of Raising Kanan that's supposed to be premiering at some point later this calendar year. And then whether or not we're gonna see Tommy and Tariq do something, we don't know. But you definitely got the green light for the Power Origins series that's going to be following a young Tommy, young Ghost, young Kanan when they all cross paths with one another. I can see him kind of being involved in that world. He's got options. That's the whole thing. He's got options, and he's going to succeed at them. Um, Hun, are you there? I just said like a whole bunch of I set up Big E. I gave Big E his flowers and I don't hear, I don't know what's going on with this show is just off the rails. I'm just gonna keep on going. I'm gonna power through. Oh wait, I think I heard her.
Yep, I'm sorry. I yes, I'm back.
Okay. I was giving Big E his flowers. I set it up all nice and juicy and
Oh,
that was,
oh my goodness.
you gotta go?
I, no, I'm okay now.
Okay. Did you at least hear the majority of what I said about Big E there?
Yes, I heard. Yes, I did. He basically, whatever he wanted to do, he could succeed. Whether he wanted to go into like a Family Feud or heck, even America's Funniest Home Videos as a fill-in or something like that. He does. He has a great personality.
Yeah.
That's what I saw come through when he was doing the pre-shows.
Yeah.
And I think he will land on his feet. In reference to um, whatever his next endeavor is. He doesn't necessarily have to put his body through, that to be successful because he's already put in the work to give himself the brand, as his character. He's put in the work to make himself a name.
Yeah.
So now let the name carry him.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of names, I know I talked about it at great length on Monday's show, but I know Damon Wilson was somebody whose work you greatly appreciated, right alongside Fred Fox there. Red Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Red Fox there on Sanford and Son. Your thoughts about the passing of Damon Wilson this past week, passing at the age of 79 due to prostate cancer?
Yeah, I was actually a little, put off by it in reference to sad to hear it. It's something that I grew up avidly watching and have watched for many, 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 many years as far as reruns and whatever have you. Why, heck, the first time around I was watching reruns, but it is actually one of my top 5 favorite comedy sitcoms that I could probably watch on repeat and essentially have at one time or another. It is as you age, it's very different to go through the motions of those people that you grew up watching and now they're passing. It's it makes you a little melancholy just a little bit, but he seemed like he had a really good, prosperous, long life. He did things the way that he wanted to do them. And my goodness, I'm sure the royalties from the syndications were still rolling in.
Mhm.
So that was something that was a good source of financial stability for him. But yeah, I mean, his character on Sanford and Son just was something else. And it's kind of funny. I'm sitting here while I'm saying this, and I'm like, I'm trying to think if I've actually even seen him in anything else besides Sanford and Son. And I personally have not.
Like I had said on Monday, he was on this short-lived TV show. There was two of them. You had the New Odd Couple. I believe he did that right after Sanford and Son. That bombed big time. I think that only made it about maybe 8 episodes, 10 episodes. It was a low number. It was basically a black version of The Odd Couple. Damon was in the role of Oscar, and Felix, they cast Ron Glass from Barney Miller fame. Yeah, he was Felix, and
Interesting.
it sounds interesting, right? I mean, it sounds good on paper, but like when you watch it, you just
Hello?
go, huh? Was that?
Hello.
I'm here. Can you hear me? God, this show is off the rails, man. I don't know if I'm gonna release this episode. I really don't know. I really don't know if I'm gonna release this. What is going on, man? Seriously,
I don't know. All of a sudden I hear you and then it cuts off.
this show is off the rails today. Like, seriously. It's like, what? I'm going to have, and I'm saying this sarcastically, I'm going to have such a fun fucking time editing this show. Normally, these shows are like, bada bing, bada boom, that was good. I can upload it. This is going to be the first time in like years I could do this show confidently knowing I don't have to edit it. This is the one time. And we've been doing this show since at least 2012. At least 2012. 2012, I think for the first 2 years, until we started really building a good rapport and Tam started getting really good with her timing and eliminating words like because she would drag out the every single time you and and like so we really did a good job just playing off of each other, and I would help her out behind the scenes and all that. I haven't had to edit an episode of Topics in, man, it feels like maybe 8 years. 8 years I haven't had to.
Oh, wow.
I have not had to today I break that. So yeah, we're gonna have to I think one of the first things I'm gonna have to do is figure out what's going on with your phone and if you're truly connected to the home internet. Because if you are connected to the home internet, then it's kind of like, okay, so is this a EV Mux problem? Or is this,
Well, it can't be an easy much problem because essentially I'm calling you from my phone.
But your phone is like, what is it connected to in order to make the call, right? Like that's the thing. Like, is it connected to just its own 5G, or is it connected to the home internet? Because if you're connected to the home internet, everything is supposed to be smooth and just there's no reason for you to drop signals.
Or the only other thing that I can make sense of is the fact that you're doing your thing with the mixer and the internet and the thing of that nature. If it's essentially we're trying to share the same internet and it's too much.
I don't know, but I'm definitely going to. I think one of the things I'm going to do behind the scenes over the weekend, I'm going to get in touch with the technical support at EV Mugs and be like, "Yo, I noticed these things. What's the 411?"
Yeah.
And find out like what they can like recommend. But
Hmm.
definitely make sure that as far as like your connection and all that, like you're on point. But
Right.
yeah, the Black Odd Couple, yeah, and that's not the name of the show,
Huh.
but it's just when you watch it, you're like, oh, it's a black
I think
version.
I did actually. Now that you said that, I think I
Yeah.
might have watched. I think we watched one or pieces.
If you
Um,
guys want to watch a train wreck, the episodes are available on YouTube. You can watch
you say
it.
we'll watch the
It's
train
a
wreck.
train wreck because what they tried to do, they didn't even try to reinvent the wheel. They tried to do their own spin to what happened on the infamous series. So like they would just literally rip episodes
Oh no.
and
Oh,
they bombed so badly, which is like, wait a minute, Ron Glass, Damon Wilson, two good actors. How can you go wrong?
right.
But yeah, it just
I
no.
was sitting. I was actually sitting. I was thinking the same thing that you just said when you were talking about it.
Yeah. And then you had there was one more sitcom he tried that bombed too. It was called Baby I'm Back. And I think that was around 82 to 83. And the story was they set it in Washington D.C. and basically Damon Wilson's character abandoned his wife and children because he was a compulsive gambler and he basically went out to California and he disappeared basically in California for like 7 years and his wife wasn't sure what was going on. She assumed he was dead and as a result she decided to file for divorce, so she's trying to move on with her life. She meets this new man. She is in the process of trying to marry him and somehow Damon finds out what his wife is about to do, and I guess he has his Jesus moment. I guess he realizes a good thing that he had, so he comes back to DC to try to reconcile. I mean, it sounds kind of good, but when you watch the show, you're kind of like, man, they're really lost in the weeds here. Are they trying to be a drama? Are they trying to be a sitcom? Like what? It was really hard, comedy. Like what's going on here? They struggle. They struggle. If you were to ask me if the series had potential, I didn't really see potential because they were just all over the place.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It does sound interesting though.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. They were all over the place. Hey, I know somebody that was near and dear to you in the stories that you can tell alone. Good God Almighty, especially since we're going in the Super Bowl weekend, setting this up for you perfectly. Of course, we lost NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, the Sonny Jurgensen, passed away at the age of 91. He spent a lot of time playing for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins slash Commanders. Tams, feel free to run with that because you got telling me Tam's got all types of fun stories. She's actually met Sonny Jurgensen a couple of times,
Hmm.
so run with it, babe, because I want to kick back and enjoy like everybody else.
So I guess I would say I met Sonny Jurgensen probably about 90, probably 92, 93, something like that. At one point, him, George Michael Wilbon, and John Riggins, and I met John Riggins. Actually, I met all four of them. Um, we were in the midst of, we had a good friend of the family that worked at Channel 4 NBC. And so we were able to sit on the taping of the Redskins report. Saw the set, and that whole thing, camera angles and things of that nature. That was really cool. But, just kind of hearing the banter between him and John Riggins and George Michael mostly was kind of cool. The fun ribbing, the, hey, what'd you do this weekend? And it was a weekly report. So obviously they got to catch up every, I think it was Thursday night when they used to tape. Every Thursday night, essentially. And, hey, this person did this and so on and so forth. So it was nice to really actually get to meet that, him in person and hear the fun stories. Now, the one story that I remember that sticks out the most in my head, because my dad was actually with me that particular day, and he had brought a football to be signed by Sonny Jurgensen for his own collection. That had nothing to do with anything else. Well, this was very, very early on the inception of eBay, but still, eBay was already in the works and doing their selling and stuff. So he said, oh yeah, I have autographs signed all the time. I do, whoever wanted to sign it, I would sign it, no problem. He said, and then I realized what they were doing is they were getting my autograph, not for their own personal want. It was for their own personal gain. And I was seeing stuff I had signed, like numerous signatures, signed, football shirts or whatever, basically being sold for someone's personal gain. He said, then I stopped doing it. I don't do it at all. And that was back, like I said, that was back in 90, somewhere between 92 to 93. Mm. And he just, he was like, no, I won't. I appreciate the fact that they asked, but I won't do it. Now, he did, as a personal favor to the stage manager that worked at Channel 4 and on the Redskins report, that was a good friend of ours, he did that signature for him. Mm-hmm. But other than that, no. And of course, I used to enjoy, back at that time, even if I couldn't watch it on TV or watch it on TV and hear them commentating, which was Sonny, Sam, and Frank. So Sam Huff, legendary player for the Washington Redskins, Sonny Jurgensen, and Frank something. Can't remember his last name. But he's actually the only one of the three that's still living. Mm. But just their commentating on the games was legendary. Legendary. I actually, like I said, I would turn the TV down and then just have the radio, because they used to be on FM radio. And then just turn them on and then hear them call the game. It was really cool. He will definitely be missed by, Redskins fans, Commanders fans, because he certainly was a legend in our area.
Are you thinking Frank Grant?
Maybe. That doesn't. It could have been. I never really.
He played for Washington, 1973 to 78, and then he spent 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was wide receiver. Was he black, white?
Nah, I think he was white.
He was white? Okay. Go ahead, keep talking.
Commentator.
Because I'm actually looking for you, so keep talking.
I'm
actually looking for you, so keep talking.
Oh, okay. So Hold on 1 second. There we go. So that was, that was something that was actually something I look forward to every Sunday. That the Redskins were playing. I mean, I've been a fan of the Redskins / Commanders since I was a little girl. I remember
Frank
for those of
Horzog.
you- Yes, that's what it was.
Frank Horzog.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan since, like I said, I was a little girl. And I remember, and I was very young then, but I remember when Joe Theismann, the game that Joe Theismann broke, his leg broke and had that basically career-ending injury. And that was in the late 80s. So I've been a fan since then. So Sonny Jurgensen has been a fixture in our house as far as my dad has always really thought highly of him and what he did for the Redskins and the career that he had. So to get to meet him and see him in the flesh and in person, a lot of people may or may not know this, but he smoked big old fat fatties as far as cigars. Sometimes, actually, I think he actually in between sets.
Was it sex? Wait a minute, what?
No, sets, I wouldn't know. In between sets as far as the TV show Redskins Report, George was a big smoker anyway. So between him and George, with their cigars, ooh, Lordy, it was like, okay, I'm choking now. I'm choking. But yes, they did smoke in between commercial breaks. On commercial breaks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Redskins Report, that was such a good ass TV show, and I don't know if you've been seeing it on social media, but at least on X/Twitter, I still call it Twitter, folks, forgive me, but it was nice seeing so many DMV locals say, if you remember this show, man, you rock, because we had it so good back then. And I can remember on Saturdays watching Saturday afternoons. At first it was Saturday afternoons, then it moved to Saturday evenings, and then I can remember times when it moved to Sunday morning / early afternoons, right before whatever game the Redskins were supposed to play. But man, like the banter, it's so funny. It's so funny because I think about inside the NBA, the inside the NBA crew, and the Redskins Report, for those that really were not fortunate to watch this series. It was literally like watching the inside guys, only they were, you saw the chemistry. It was just so natural, and that was mainly because all four of these guys were truly friends. And so it was almost like you were just coming in and eavesdropping on a really cool conversation, and there'd be some fun little banter, not to the extreme of what the inside guys would do, but there was just enough there that you were hooked, and you could just listen to these guys just talk all things football. And yeah, they would spend so much time talking about the Redskins, but they would also make sure that whoever it was that team was supposed to be facing that week, they flip the script and they give the same amount of equal time, especially if it was like, I'm a little concerned about Washington this week because, da 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 da. And I remember, and I definitely want to pick your brain about this, because maybe you can reveal some like behind the scenes stuff, but allegedly the series came to an end because of budget cuts. And I'm thinking about the year that all of this went down, and I'm going, this kind of makes sense because this is right at that time when Comcast Xfinity had stepped in, and they now
Mhm.
were they were taking over NBC or whatever, and they combined to
Mhm.
do NBC Universal. And
Mhm.
two-part question for you. One, was the show, to your knowledge, was it actually a casualty of budget cuts, or was there other things at play? And then what was the mood like when everybody had found out that, hey, this show is gonna be no more?
Well, I can't really speak for the mood part of it,
Okay.
because I wasn't there.
Hmm.
As far as the people that worked it
Hmm.
were a bit bummed
Hmm.
because they had fun doing it.
Hmm.
Um, I will say that during any of the tapings, everything was always. I mean, it was about work. Don't get me wrong, but the mood was still very light. Very relaxed. Um, but as far as once it came to an end, it it wasn't it wasn't long that George ended up turning that Redskins report that left into full court press.
Hmm.
Um, which then, Tony Kornheiser came, aboard for that. Still, Michael Wilbon was there, and I can't remember the other person, but generally it was George, Michael Wilbon, and Tony Kornheiser. But and now getting back to the Redskins report. Now the Redskins report, for the people who worked it, I'm sure they were, on one hand, bummed that that's not something that they were doing anymore because they had fun doing it.
Hmm.
Now, on the other hand, maybe not so bummed because instead of, an hour lunch, they got a 3 hour lunch, before, because generally those tapings were done in between the 6 o'clock news and the 11 o'clock news,
Hmm.
somewhere between 7 to 7:30 to about 9 to 9:30 on usually like a Thursday night.
You know,
So, huh?
what's really sad? I just tried looking up the history of the Redskins Report TV show,
Mm.
and I cannot find anything. And I'm doing a Bing Google
Oh
search,
wow,
and
that is.
I can't find. Now there's some stuff obviously on YouTube, but when you try to look at, like, okay, no, tell me about the TV show, there's
Mm-hmm.
really not anything out there. And
Oh, wow.
if anything, when you type it in, you do come across George Michael off the break. You come across him, so I
Mm-hmm.
mean that's good. And
Hmm.
interestingly enough, when I go on YouTube, now
Mm-hmm.
this happened in Bing just now, but when I typed in Redskins Report TV show, I get these two girls that have a show called Red Skin Report, and I'm like, what the hell? Um, and I'm actually typing in YouTube right now, Redskins Report, just to see. Keep y'all fingers crossed, because I would love it if, like, because you guys would. Okay, so when you type in Redskins Report, you come across the Washington Commanders channel, but you
Mm-hmm.
actually get a full episode of the Redskins
Mm-hmm.
Report. It looks like Super Bowl 22.
Mm-hmm.
I see a couple of more things about the Redskins report. Buried in there is Redskin name is returning controversy.
Yeah.
Remembering Washington football legend Sonny Jurgensen. That's great. George Michael signs off. Yeah, this day and age that we're in, where it comes to streaming content and all that, you would just think that like all those great archives of footage that,
would be readily available.
right.
Yes, I agree.
Talk about ushering in a whole new generation and inspiring a new generation of MMA. I'm sorry, of journalists, multimedia journalists.
Hmm.
Kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I agree. But getting back to whether or not it was a part of a budget cut,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily know about budget cut, but it was more of about a rebranding.
Mm, interesting.
And you really pulling cobwebs because
Wow.
that was many, 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 many years ago. And you're also thinking about a conversation that probably happened 30 years ago.
Yeah. Where were you June 5th, 1997? It's like 5 p.m. It's like
Right.
how the fuck should I know? All right, so we got the
Hmm.
Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Predictions. Seahawks,
um,
Patriots.
I really like both as far as both teams because they both have similar stories as far as their quarterback. But I guess for me, I think I'd like to see New England get it.
There's a big part of me that wants to see New England get it as well. And I think one of the main reasons why is because I'm not exactly a fan of Robert Kraft getting snubbed on his first ballot into the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
Mm.
and he wasn't able to get in. Bill Belichick not able to get in either on his first joint. Now, I can
Okay,
understand.
I'm a little more like agreeable to the Bill Belichick thing,
Yeah,
but Robert Kraft.
because you think about some of those controversies there, Spygate and all that, and it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can kind of,
Deflategate.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about just how he was a dick, and some of the stuff that, right, it's like, okay, I don't expect him to get in, but like Robert Kraft, like from what I saw, everybody loved him some Robert Kraft. Now correct me if I'm wrong, Robert Kraft was the one, the masseuse, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that kind of maybe.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
But I tell you this: if Patriots win this Sunday, then you have to take a look and go,
Mm-hmm.
yo, they won the Super Bowl for 2026. Like, we should probably give a nod at least to Kraft. And
Mm-hmm.
I promise you.
Well, I mean, even let's get to the fact of how they, lost their their primary, player in Tom Brady because he retired, went to another team, and then, and really tried to rebuild with new coaches, new players, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
To then rebuild to that and have the season that they had and the coaching staff to go back to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a really great comeback story.
It is.
I guess that's what makes me want them to win more.
Mm.
But there's also a comeback story for Seattle because their quarterback apparently was about to be out the league.
Yeah.
And then Seattle drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, well, okay, I mean, it's, but I guess for me, if I had to make a choice, I would prefer to have New England get it.
Final score?
Oh Lord, this would be an absolute guess: 20-17.
I'm gonna say 32-27, Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
32-27, Patriots. I don't care about the halftime show. We you know, I don't care about that. I just at this point I care about the game. I know most of the commercials are already available online for
Oh
viewing
Lord, then
purposes.
what's the point?
I know. So I guess a lot of them are just trying to get the buzz and all that, but I want to represent. It's going to be on ABC. I'm sorry, it's going to be on NBC. I said ABC, but no, it's going to be on NBC. So that means we're going to get Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth calling the game, and they have been a great combo the past couple of years, but
Yeah.
particularly this season, they've really stepped up their game, big time. So
Yeah,
looking
I
forward
agree.
looking forward to that. Hey, before we get ready to dip out, want to take this time out to thank our sponsors because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. So, shout out to our good friends over at justmovieposters.com. They got some awesome posters available, great low prices ranging anywhere between $5, $7, right on up to $15 shipping. You do got to pay for it, just a little tiny bit. It doesn't hurt the wallet at all. Just in time for Valentine's Day, right? Don't let that wall be bare. Go check them out. Happy to have them on board as a sponsor, long time sponsor. We've been messing around with them. Good friend of the show for years. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I said, "Well, it's been almost 10 years since we been partnering up with them off and on." Also, shout out to Katrina at Katrina's Spiritual Counseling.com. Whether you need advice for your relationship, you want to talk finances, certain career path that maybe is opening up, you know, she will not sugarcoat it. She's got 20 plus years of experience. It's all built on giving you nothing but the straight up truth. And I think now in this day and age, more than ever, we kind of need somebody to talk to, right? And after watching what I had watched about the Green Power Ranger, now more than ever, I just would have to say, if you got some stuff that's pinned up inside of you, you definitely need to find somebody you can talk to that won't judge you and all that. So make sure you check her out. You can visit her website at katrinaspiritualcounseling.com. As far as programming notes, we got another fun show. The RCWR show is going to be dropping Monday night, February 9th, 2026, as soon as Raw goes off the air. Looking forward to that show. We'll also be back with a new Impact Showdown covering TNA Fallout. We had skipped this Thursday, rightfully so. I was just too burned out. Like the class schedule was like really, really kicking my ass. So I'm happy to say that now I'm kind of getting into the groove of things. I'm kind of all right. Everything's now set. Man, as long as the homework continues to be manageable, and it's kind of good because the way it's kind of playing out so far, readings, any last little things that like I need to do, I'm able to pretty much have everything resolved before the weekend is out. So it should not impact the shows at all, right? So that's good. I know MLW recently did a show. We'll definitely talk about that on the Monday show, along with some other tidbits of news that didn't make it onto this show. Notice, I know Tams will peep it out. There's a couple of things that we didn't get into on this show. For instance, we didn't get into Hulk Hogan's estate facing a $10 million demand tied to the beer company there. Also, didn't get into, there was something else. Oh, yeah, Ric Flair is talking about coming out of retirement to wrestle. I will definitely.
No.
I'm just thinking about their Flair household right now, particularly Charlotte and Conrad Thompson. I'm just going, oh, you poor souls. you poor fucking souls. Appreciate you guys hanging in there with us with the technical difficulties. I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing the audio version of this. I have not. It's been a minute, so we'll see if I still got it right as far as editing goes. We'll see if I'm pretty confident I do, but still, she's the beautiful and the lovely Tammy. Lee Sanders. We're wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. And yeah, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow us all throughout social media using the keywords the RCWR Show. And until next go round, peace.
Bye.